Hello, I'm Roberto, and we are learning Rust. Today with us always, like always.
Hello everyone, Luciano.
If you don't know this channel, in this channel we talk about Rust and technologies. You can find recordings on YouTube for the previous streams, and if you're watching this on YouTube, we stream every Monday, 6 p.m. double time on Twitch. Today we are going on from where we left last time. So we were writing this Lambda in Rust to do a subscription of some kind to a newsletter and give back a gift, a link to a file as a reward. So last time we read and validated the campaign, we created the subscription record, and we left a comment, a to-do, to go on adding the message to the SQS queue. So if you don't remember what we are doing, we are trying to replace this service that Luciano is paying, that basically is using for his books to give the first chapter for free if you subscribe at a newsletter. The service is doing a lot of stuff, it's costing money, but Luciano only needs this small feature, and we're trying to replicate it. Correct, Luciano?
Exactly, and it's also a nice use case to do a little bit of Rust and Lambda with a more realistic, I guess, application that is not just like one endpoint, but it's a combination of different points, events, queuing. So hopefully a little bit of a more realistic example of how you can build applications with Lambda, serverless, and Rust.
Okay, so do you want to share your screen so we can...
Let's do that. You should see the
where we
screen
left
now.
last time.
So let's start with the diagram, just as a quick recap. So this is the workflow. We are not going to explain it again. You can check the previous videos, but just to show you that we went as far as creating the form. So there is an endpoint that can render the form. In this form, the user can input their email. When they click submit, the data is sent to this Lambda, which is the one where we are effectively working on now. And this Lambda, what it needs to do is validate the data, store it in DynamoDB, and create a message in the queue, because that message is basically going to be used later on in this other Lambda to send a confirmation email. So let's see how far did we get with this particular Lambda. So this is the code for this Lambda. Right now we have everything in one file, just for simplicity. We'll probably refactor later. What we are doing is all the steps: validate email, validate campaign ID, create subscription record, put the send confirmation email job in the queue, and then return a success message. We did almost everything, which is we validated the email. We found a crate that allows us to... So first of all, we deserialize from the event, from the HTTP/HTML form payload. So there is a form encoded payload coming in the request. We deserialize that into a custom struct, and we use this validator crate, where it is here, that allows us to basically make sure that the email is correct. Then once we do that, we check that the campaign actually exists, because the campaign is just a parameter in the form. We need to make sure that the user is not fudging the values in the form. So we need to check against our DynamoDB, did we really create that campaign? If we did, we can proceed. Otherwise, we fail. Right now, what we do is we just return a 404 if the campaign is not found in our database.
That makes sense, because it's not found.
Exactly. Then the next step, and this is maybe something we should refactor a little bit, but here we are just extrapolating the user IP, because it's something we want to store for maybe analytics. And this is just an example. We're not trying to do anything too fancy right now, but ideally you might want to store the user IP to know, for instance, where are people coming from, right?
Yeah. If you want to do a geolocalization, you have maps from IP to location, so you can use it.
Exactly. Then we generate an ID for the subscription, and we insert a record into our database. Now the next step is to, this is where we left last time. Start from here, put the message in the queue.
Cool. We need, and I think we have a comment somewhere, to create a client for this queue. But first of all, we need to add the crate to have a client to put in.
Exactly. So we don't have the SQS client. We only have the DynamoDB one. So let's go and check out online how to do that.
Yeah, which version is the last one for the AWS SDK SQS?
So we do have an SQS page here with some examples. And we can see here send message. This is probably what we want to use and what they are using. Wait.
They are telling you.
I was hoping for the setup instructions.
No, too easy. It's AWS documentation.
Of
What are you
course.
saying?
But I guess if we do here SQS, we'll find, yeah, that's the one.
Tommaso is asking in the chat, what happens if a user tries to register an email twice? I think we don't care and we create another role for now.
Right now, yes, that's the current behavior. Maybe we should add another to do. But at the same time, I'm wondering if you subscribe again, maybe it's because you lost the file and you want to get it again, or maybe you never received the confirmation email. So maybe it's not that bad as a behavior to just go through another subscription and do all the flow again.
Yeah, because the confirmed subscription is in the same table with a Boolean. And then at one point, you will extract all the confirmed subscription to add them to the newsletter. That is, you will make a unique list. You will do a unique of all the confirmed emails. So even if somebody confirmed the email twice, okay, thank you.
Maybe the optimization could be if they are already confirmed, just send them the file. Don't let them confirm again. But for now, I wouldn't bother too much.
Yeah, but to do that with Dynamo, we should have or an index on the email or email as part of the key, the composite of the subscription table.
We do have in the subscription table a way to just fetch the record. And then in the record, we have the attribute if it's confirmed or not. So we could do that.
But are we not fetching by campaign ID and IUU ID that we just generated? Look in the code.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So yeah, we should create an index by email.
On the email, yeah. But well, thank you for the question. I think it's something that we would like to think about, but at the moment we are keeping it simple. Like you always say, why this when simple is enough?
Exactly. Okay, so let's install this guy. And then we have the example here on how to use it. Should be relatively simple, but let's see.
What is the crate in the end to use?
The crate is, cd lambdas subscribe, cargo add. This is probably a little bit too small for people, but trust me. It's called AWS-SDK SQS.
Yeah, it was added to the cargo tome now.
Was added here and doesn't look like we need any special feature. So now we need to create the client. So if we go back to the main, what we did before here is creating a DynamoDB client. So we want in our config struct to have an SQS client. And that seems about right. And we need the name of the queue as well, which we have. So now we just need to create the client and pass it there. So I'm going to make an assumption and say SQS client, AWS, SDK, SQS client, new. That should
the config is the same because the config is basically the authentication for the Lambda.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I forgot there. It's an equal. Okay, so the config is the same because yes, you're right. The config is the effectively the environment itself, like it contains your credentials, the HTTP connection to the AWS control plane. So we can reuse the same because effectively we are using the same roles, the same credentials, the same connection. If we were using different credentials or different regions, that's the case where between clients you might have to create different configuration objects.
Okay, so now, yes, we have to add it there. Cool.
Okay, now we have a valid config that gets passed into every handler execution. So we can go back to our handler code. Where did we leave it last time? There. And here is where we can create the message. So let's go back and check the example. How does it look like? So in SQS, basically you just store any arbitrary JSON. That's your message. So you can decide what's the relevant data for a job. in this case, we probably want to store the campaign ID and the email. I don't think we need to store anything else.
I think in our diagram we wrote something about it.
But how does it look like? Message body, what it is here? Oh, it's an
It's an SQS message.
So this example is not very useful. We need to figure out how to construct an SQS message.
Yeah, try to look in the receive message if there is anything. I don't think so. But
they might be different. They're not necessarily the same, but who knows?
No, here you're receiving.
Okay, let's check in this code repository. Maybe there is something more interesting.
Make it bigger, please. Okay, thank you.
So SQS, there it is. Bin, hello world. Okay. Is there a send message? There we go. Message body. So where do they create the message? Somebody's calling this send, right? Here.
With a body.
And where is the message? Here.
Line 112.
Okay, so that's very easy. Actually, it doesn't even have to be a JSON, is it? Can be anything.
This is a string. I don't know what are the parameters of the SQS message. What can you pass? Just a body as a string, or you can pass
think just a body as a string.
Object. Yeah, but if you go back to our diagram, we want to pass a couple of fields, not just one, correct? The subscription ID that we just generated and the email.
So only these two things should be enough.
Yeah, even if the email is also inside the subscription ID, probably we did that just to avoid to make a call, to spend less in Dynamo, to make one less read call. Can it be? No, well, don't know. Probably the subscription ID will be enough. Because the email is in the subscription ID table, we just wrote it.
Yes, there is also a typo here. So yeah, that's fair enough. So we already have the subscription ID. And then with that subscription ID, we have the email and we also have the campaign ID. Do we need the campaign ID? So at this point, I will probably store everything. Subscription ID, campaign ID,
I think
email.
we need the campaign ID because our table is campaign ID as primary key and subscription ID as a sort key. So yeah, I think we also need the campaign ID.
So let's be explicit. It's not going to cost us too much. Okay, Tommaso is asking a question there. When you need to give a reference of clients to the config and not just the instance itself. I think this is going back here. Why do you need to give a reference to the config? And not just the instance itself. You mean like giving it ownership?
Yeah, but in 136 you're not going to consume the config if you don't do a reference.
Exactly, yeah. So that's, I think
if you want to use it for multiple clients, you need to not consume it with the first one, or not.
Unless I'm not getting the question, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Okay, I interpreted line 140, why the end?
Line 40, why the end?
When we put the client in the config.
Good question. I think there is a reason here because of how we do this run. Otherwise, it might not work, but let's try.
Otherwise, we have to pass around the object themselves to every instance instead of a reference to the object. And if there are parallel executions of the instances.
Let's see what happens if we just give it ownership. I suspect there might be some kind of issue there, but maybe I'm wrong. So that means we can remove this, we can remove this, we can remove this. And now if we go back here, is it happy? It is happy. So no, we could give it ownership. And async is not going to be upset.
Okay, I was not expecting this.
So that's a good feedback. And to be fair, we don't need to, I don't think we'll need to reuse these clients outside the config. So it could make sense to give away ownership. So that's, oh, wait, what is it complaining now? Return type references an anonymous lifetime, which, oh yeah, this one is not needed anymore. right? Is everything still happy?
Seems so.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's a good simplification. Thank you, Tommaso.
Thank you. So now question. In the example, it was using a URL to the queue, but we have an email queue. Is the email queue in line 133 a URL, or is it?
Good question. Let's go and check what we have in our deployment, because if that's wrong, we'll need to update our
Template
to get the actual URL.
Yeah.
So, so many lambdas here. Which one is it?
Subscription.
Is the subscribe function?
Yeah, it's the subscribe.
So if we go to configuration, environment, we get the
Okay, the
URL.
full URL. Okay, so it's fine. Okay, just checking.
No, that's a good catch, because this is actually one of the annoying things of CloudFormation sometimes, that when you use, I think we just use a ref. Where is it? Here, right? We just use a ref.
Yeah.
And ref is kind of reference, and sometimes can be an ID, sometimes can be an ARN, sometimes can be a URL, sometimes can be something like just the table name in the case of DynamoDB. So some people prefer not to use ref and just be explicit and use something like get at, and here, I don't know, I think it's table name, just to be explicit, because ref, you need to know exactly what it means. And it's
every object gives you something different.
So it's easy to do that mistake where maybe here you were just expecting the name of the queue, but instead it's giving us the URL. Now, in this case, it's fine for us, the URL, that's what we need. But yeah, it might be a source of common mistakes.
Okay, so we have all we need, I think, now in the function.
And actually, speaking of which, I don't know if this policy is going to be correct, because this is expecting the queue name, not the queue URL. So we will see if this fails. I'm not going to fix this, but we will see if this fails.
Okay. Just to confirm that yes, is annoying.
Exactly. Okay, so let's create our message, right? So what we want to do is
my question was, inside the SQS message there is a body, but can we add somehow multiple values? For example, we have to add 3 values from our design: campaign ID, subscription ID, and email.
I think we just need to do it in JSON.
Okay, so you needed to use CERD to create a JSON string starting from
exactly
else, or a format.
Yeah, so we can probably use just the JSON macro there. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah, exactly that.
Copilot is listening to us. Okay, so let's do that. So let's do let SQS message body, right? It's going to be that. And then what we want to do is let SQS message. This is SQS message new.
Yeah, it was not a capital SQS, but well, I don't remember.
No, I think it was like this message.
Okay.
And was it new? Why it doesn't? Wait. Let's go back to the example. Hey, we have Luke in the chat.
Oh, no, there is no new. There is just SQS is capital, like I said. And
interesting.
It's just the object without a constructor.
Very, very raw, but okay. And where is that SQS message defined, though?
There, line 26.
So this is their own struct.
It's their own struct, so you can pass anything in it.
So it's going to be automatically serialized.
So let's create our type with campaign name and campaign subscription and email, and try to pass that.
Yeah, the thing that confuses me, though, is that they're not deriving serialize.
Probably some magic done internally from.
But then how is it going to be serialized? In like what kind of format?
Find out.
Okay, cool. Let's find out. So we just need to create our own
struct.
struct, and then use this send with the client, QURL and message. What is this send that they do here? Send. What do they do? They use client, send message, QURL, message body. I'm really curious to see what this message body type is.
No, then that message body takes a string. Oh God, why they did all of this? It's so confusing.
Exactly. So this is just the string that we want to send. Okay.
So we need a JSON to create the JSON.
Let's roll back. We don't need to create an SQS message. We just need to follow this builder pattern.
Yeah.
And just pass here our JSON serialized thingy.
There is the simple way of doing stuff. Then there is the AWS way.
I'm not gonna disagree on that one. So, okay.
I mean, I worked there, I can confirm.
So let's just do this. That result is equal to config SQS client send message QURL. I think that suggestion was good. It's config email queue. Oh, come on. Message body. Let's see what it did. To string? No. Is that how you do it? Oh, don't we have set the JSON macro?
Doesn't seem so.
I thought we did. Let's see what we have. Oh, we never installed cert JSON. Okay, let's fix that. Cargo add cert JSON, and I think we will want the feature macro. Okay, now let's see if it's up here. We probably still need to import it. Okay, Rust Analyzer is still working.
Rust Analyzer is taking a coffee. Please wait.
Oh, it doesn't like that feature macros. Is it built in? Why did you autocomplete if it was not there?
I think it was Copilot, not the autocomplete.
Okay. Now, can you import JSON from? That's what we want. Cool.
A value, then value to string. Okay.
Now, toString, I think, is going to give us the... No, I think we need to do cert the JSON serialize or cert the serialize. I can never remember.
Just share the serialize, share the colon, no?
This one.
What are
There is a toString pretty. Okay, let's Google it. Unless somebody in the chat knows that by heart. How to convert a certain JSON value. Set the JSON to writer. Set the JSON to string.
Okay.
Is that the way?
And it's giving you an option.
And it's going to give us... Okay, let's try this. Oh, Thomas is going to say that it's not performant. We know, but right now it's fine. We can
do a cap and proto
or Bean code. Yeah, we can do Bean code later. For now, let's just stick to JSON because at least it's going to be readable when we try to debug on the other side.
We can do a BSON. Is somebody set the MongoDB using BSON?
Okay, serialize the given data structure as a string of JSON. Perfect. That's what we want.
Yeah, but what is giving you back?
A result.
Okay, so you have to unwrap.
We can unwrap because I think we know that this is semantically
Yeah,
correct.
that is not coming from an input from a customer, from a user. That is coming from
Exactly.
us 5 lines above.
Okay, so what happens here? What if this one fails? Do we just return a 500?
The subscription is created, but it's not added to the queue. So if we were good boys, we would delete the subscription that we just created and then throw up. Let me look at HTTP cat, which cat is the best one.
So do if this fails.
Oh, sorry, wrong window.
No, sorry, it's not when toString fails, because I think toString cannot fail because we are creating the JSON ourselves.
No, is when the SQS put fails.
Exactly.
For
So
some
this
reason,
one, yeah. HTTP cat is the best.
Yeah.
I think this is probably an internal server error because we are failing here to connect with.
I think there was something like a downstream service.
Oh, 502 might be. Serialization can fail if T's implementation of serialize decides to fail, or if T contains a map with non-string keys.
Okay, but we created the map ourselves.
Yeah, that's why I'm confused by this statement. So I don't think that in this particular case, like since we are hard coding here the creation of the value, I don't think it can fail. So
there is the HTTP code 424 failed dependency.
but if it's in the 400 range, if it's like a user error,
Yeah.
this is more of a server error, right?
Mm.
I think there is like a 502, which is like gateway
Yeah.
failed, which is generally when a proxy cannot reach out to a backend. So here it's somewhat similar. So it's like your own external dependency is failing. So
Okay, let's go with 502.
So let's just say if this fails, we need to delete the subscription record and return a 502 error.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not do it now. I want to make sure that we get the SQS working first.
Yeah.
Yes, we are not in a transaction. There is a way to do transactional write with Dynamo, but I'm not really sure. I never tried it, and I'm not really sure it really works exactly as the SQL type of transaction. So
The problem is that you have to do two operations. One is write to Dynamo, and the other one is writing to the SQS queue. And both of them can. And if one of those two fails, you want to roll back the other one. Deleting a Dynamo row is doable. Removing a message from SQS after you put it, I don't think is doable.
you can actually.
Okay.
I think if memory serves me well, but like when you insert a message, actually we should be able to check that. We should get like an ID. And that's generally the idea that you need to manually delete when you are polling from a queue manually, and then you do the job. You need to tell SQS, I finished this job, so you can clean up. So that's one way that you can delete the message from the queue directly. When you're using SQS with Lambda, there is a piece of magic there that is called, what is it called? It's like a poller that will automatically poll from the queue, call your Lambda with an event, and then waiting for your Lambda to finish to see if there was an error. It's going to not delete the message, so it's going to reappear. If there wasn't an error, then it can clean up the message for you. So there is a bit of magic happening there.
Well, in any case, let's leave it to do, and do this at another time. We want to give back in the message the result. We want to unwrap that result.
So let's see what we have in the result. Result dot unwrap dot, what do we have? Message ID. So that's the one that? Why it's an option?
And it's also a function.
Yeah, there is both an attribute and a function.
Yeah. AWS SDK.
Same with
Give me
sequence
headaches.
number. Okay, let's log this. Let's log as what are we using for logging?
We are giving back a message in the line below.
Tracing. So we can do tracing info, something like inserted message in the queue with, and then we can say ID equal that.
Do you want to update the DynamoDB record with the ID of the? No, you don't want.
No.
No, I don't want.
Argument. Oh yeah, this needs to be let SQS message ID equal that.
It's an option you need to unwrap it.
Good question. Probably
You
yes.
you can do an if let sum, and then leave inside the if.
And if it's not, if it's like none,
You trace tracing info none.
I thought that was a valid syntax. Is it like that?
For what?
For
For the
tracing.
macro?
Yeah, for the tracing macro to pass attributes, but maybe I remember it wrong. Let's check that. Tracing is not an event. We just want to log. Yeah, you see that here they just pass values like that.
Yeah, but they use event is the macro.
They're
you're
using event, but it should be the same. Like for instance, here they're using debug, right? It should be the same.
But it's before the string. Try to
Ooh,
put that
that's
before the
interesting.
string.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, somehow that works. Interesting. Okay, so what's next? Should we just test if this works?
Put the message in the queue. We did it. We did no test, no check if it was correct. We have no rollback in case of errors of any kind. Let's do it anyway. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, so let's do a
If
deployment.
policy errors, if we have policy errors, or if it works.
Yeah, I have a feeling that that policy will bite us back.
Okay. Now it's compiling a new dependency, and so we need to prepare some. We needed to prepare some jokes written somewhere. You should have the MOOCs there and having some, I don't know, ChatGPT writing an haiku for you while you compile.
That is not a bad idea.
An haiku based on the code that you changed. Very useful use.
Maybe a bit
power.
too much.
Very useful use of electrical power.
Burning trees for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, it did fail. Why did it fail? Could not find SQS. Oh yeah, why did
Lambda event.
import?
I don't know what happened with the imports.
I think it's when we were playing with that SQS message new. Something happened, so let's try again. Hopefully now it's going to be faster because hopefully meanwhile already compiled the SDK. SQS. Or
Your idea of fast is different from mine.
Yeah, I think also that the same applies for the Rust compiler.
You are fast like Rust compiler. That's my new best way of telling somebody is slow.
But yeah, they might not get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will just use with people that can understand it.
Something
All
is
five
happening.
of them. Something is happening. Yeah, somewhere. Change set.
Ready to deploy? Yes. So the only one lambda.
So it
and
will
API
deploy
gateway.
because the policy are checked at runtime because it can't understand what the stuff is trying to do.
Unfortunately, yes, that's the case. And this is one of those things that are very hard to test locally, for instance, because if we run it locally,
There are no policy.
actually, if you run it locally, yeah, you are not using the policy we defined there. It's just gonna use your local role. And if you have a local role as an admin, you probably can do everything.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna notice the problem. Okay, anyway, so this one was actually wrong. We forgot to remove prod. So let me fix that.
But that is in our export.
Yeah, we just added the suffix there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we want to go here. We want to do, what did we call it? Form/test. Yes, look at that. Very small, but it works. Okay, so let's say people at test. Actually, let's do this because maybe in the future we'll send an email to people by mistake. Internal server error. Okay, so something went wrong. What did go wrong?
Now we can go in the AWS console and take a look at it. No? Can we also run the Lambda with a forged payload? Yes. But
yes, we can do that. Meanwhile, I was checking this comment by Tommaso, which is probably a good one for the next compilation. To just kill time, we can rant about Ziglang.
About Zig is slower than Rust. Okay, what is this new trend of super slow compilers?
Okay, so let's see if the error is what we expect, that we are not authorized to do yada, yada, yada. So, monitor.
Where are the logs?
Sorry, I'm tired today, so I'm slower than usual. Okay, so what's going on? Service error. Access denied. I don't know if you can read this. Let me make it bigger. User, blah, 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 is not authorized to perform SQL send message on resource something, something, because we are not authorizing that. Okay.
Okay, so now the resource is the ARN that he wants. Can we see what we put
see you next time.
Can we see what we put in the policy? Can you look at the policy itself?
Let's go and check the policy. That's a good idea. So if we go to configuration, permissions, we have SQS. And yeah, that's the thing that is failing. Look at this. So it's trying to build an ARN. So it only wanted the name of the queue here, but instead it's getting the full URL. So this is not a valid ARN.
So ref in this case is not the right stuff to do. Is get utter and the dot name.
Exactly. So if we go here and we check the ARN, this is what we want to be there. So we just need to get
that is the URL. The ARN is up there on the right.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry. This is what we want, and we are constructing all of this plus all of this.
That and it's not going to work.
So if we go to cloud formation, cloud, if I can type today, formation SQS queue resource. Here you have the list of all the resources, and there is a section that says what you get as return when the resource is created. There you go, return values. So if you use ref, which is what we used, you get the entire URL, which is good in one case and bad in the other. But then we can get either ARN, queue name, or queue URL. So let's be explicit. And let's do in the subscription.
But only for the policy, not for the environment variable.
So subscribe function in the policy, what we want to do is get at email queue.queuename, and I want to be explicit here at this point and just say queue URL, was it?
It was just URL?
Queue URL.
Oh, URL.
So this is why some people will tell you, and rightfully so, never use ref and always use get at, because you might have fewer surprises. Okay, another deployment. This time should be a little bit faster because we didn't change any code.
Don't say that.
I'm sorry that Tommaso had to go, because otherwise we could have been talking about Zig.
About Zig being slower than Rust. I don't know. When I used it, it was not that bad.
Yeah, and some people use it to compile C code, so I don't know. Maybe he meant runtime speed. I don't know.
No, I was using it for a Zig extension for Python, so it's not bad. But well, it was not a big project, so I don't know.
Yeah, we should definitely play more with it.
Yes. When we are done with this, we rewrite everything in Zig and we try to run Zig on top of Lambdas.
Yeah, I don't even know if there is a runtime. I'm sure somebody already created one, but it could be a fun exercise. Okay, so deployed, we can try again. So if we go to our form, we go back, we submit again. Ooh, this time it did work.
Okay, so what we should find in the queue and in Dynamo?
So let's check the logs first. So if we go back to the logs, I think we should have another log group or not. No, it didn't create a new log group because we didn't deploy a new Lambda, but here we should have the tracing record, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one, yes, inserted message in the queue, and we have ID, and this is the ID of the message. Did we just call it ID or message ID?
No, ID.
Okay, so that should be the value that we passed.
B77, okay.
So now if we go to SQS, there is a way to fetch messages. Sorry, SQS here. Let's see if I can remember. Send and
receive messages up there.
So we can
receive
call for messages, and we should see the message appearing, hopefully. Oh, I know what's happening. Because we have already created the other Lambda, that other Lambda is already consuming the event, and that Lambda was only saying
the event already got. So we should see logs in the other Lambda for this.
Yes, let's check that, because that is a good way to test our assumption. But like going back here, basically we have a send confirmation Lambda that we just started with an hello world that I think is already connected with the queue. So our assumption is that it's already being consumed, even though not doing anything useful. So if we go in the logs there,
or you go to the Lambda, then you go to the logs, because I never know how to navigate the logs for CloudWatch.
So this is send confirmation, I think. Yeah, this one. And if we go to monitor, we should have an execution, and we do have one execution. Look at that. Yeah. And if we go to the logs, I don't think we are logging anything useful. So I just expect to see the report logs. Yeah, there you go. Duration. Look how fast it was.
And you do nothing.
Well, if you do this in Python or in JavaScript, it takes 1 second just to start. So yeah, that's impressive. But anyway.
What are you saying? What are you saying about Python?
And even JavaScript. So I'm not making any difference there. It's just the cold start. It's like takes seconds, not milliseconds. Okay, so one way we can fix this is by removing that event for now. We can just comment out the event.
Or we can...
if we comment out here the trigger, this trigger here, the event should stay in the queue and not be consumed.
But can you deploy without an event?
Yes. Yeah, you can deploy a Lambda that maybe you just want to run manually.
Okay.
Should work. Now let's see if that's not the case.
You have the validation of the template here. No, it's valid. So, okay, cool.
Well, I don't trust that always catches every possible logical error.
No. No.
And I think if this works, I think we are more or less at the 1 hour mark. So that's positive. Oh yeah, event source mapping is the term that I didn't remember before. So this is being removed because the event source mapping is that magic component that exists between a queue and a Lambda, and it's basically doing all the polling and sending events to your Lambda.
Okay. You pay AWS for that, or it comes for free?
I think it comes for free, but then you still pay the poll operation and the Lambda invocation.
But, well, you pay the Lambda invocation, okay, but
you also pay for polls in SQL.
yeah, but if you send nothing to the SQS queue for
I
an
don't think
hour, you still pay.
I don't
So
think
you should
so.
not pay. I don't think it's a smart business.
I don't think so, because it was born exactly to remove that issue. And the issue was that people were doing like running a Lambda on a schedule just to do a poll. And then if the poll was not retrieving anything, you spend money for a Lambda invocation and for a poll for nothing.
Yeah, because at that point I use S3 and I write to S3 and I trigger a Lambda on S3 and it's cheaper.
Yeah. You have less of all of that retry logic, but yeah, it could work.
Yeah.
Okay, so everything was deployed. Let's try again to register Pippo2 this time. Submit. That did work.
Let's try to go to the
if we go
SQS
to
this
SQS, and we poll for messages, there is a message
we have one
now.
Okay.
And 93 bytes, let's see, contains campaign ID, test, email, our email, subscription ID, the subscription ID. Perfect. So I think that's a good stopping point for next time to do the part that consumes this message and sends an email, even though sending an email might be trickier than you might think, but we'll think about that and how to do it.
Do you want to, before closing, do you want to show the DynamoDB table to see if we have the entries?
We can do that. That's a good point. So if we go to the other table, subscriptions, what can we do? I'm just going to do something very quickly. Just stop the screen share. I want to see if I can hide my IP address. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'll share again. Cool. So we have actually this record, we have it twice. Oh yeah, because the first time we sent it, this was the transactional thing that we didn't do.
Yeah.
The first time we sent it and then we failed to put it in the queue, but this record was already here.
Yeah, the record was there and we don't dedupe on email because we use the subscription ID as a sorting key.
Then
we should think
again.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then this
we tried again.
The second attempt where we were able to see the SQS message.
Exactly. Okay, so let's wrap it up for today. Let's wrap it up. You can find the recording on YouTube. The link is on Twitch in the About section. If you're watching this on YouTube, we do live streaming every Monday, 6 p.m. doubling time.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. But last 2 times we did it. If you are watching this on YouTube, okay, I just said this. Make sure to check the Twitch link in the YouTube description. Give us a follow so that you can be notified. Feel free to leave us comments and open pull requests. Everything is well accepted. We are trying to learn Rust, so don't expect our solution to be the cleanest or more idiomatic ones. If you know better ways of doing things, please let us know so we can learn. Thank you for the collaboration in the chat. Luciano is putting a lot of links there. And
if I can spell them correctly, because the first one didn't work out.
Utune is a good scam website.
Probably.
Good name for a scam website. Yeah. So, are we going to rate somebody?
Let's try that.
So, thank you. See you, and see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.